Good evening. Today is Thursday, February 29th, 2024, and welcome to the regular meeting session of the Milford School Committee. This meeting is being broadcast and recorded by Milford TV, and copies can be obtained at the request of this board or through central office. So, good to see everybody tonight. Our first agenda item will be the approval of minutes. Sorry. Yes, sorry. Put it in the wrong section. Yeah, approval of minutes. Our first set of minutes is from January 18th, 2024. For the regular session, we had a revision on item number 8A, and that has been updated. So just wanted to make that point. So looking again for a motion to approve those minutes from January 18th, 2024. Motion by Matt, second by Megan, and then just point, Michael and John, you were not here for that.
Wasn't either.
You weren't. I missed that, sorry. All right, then, all in favor of that one? So we'll have 4 in favor and then 3 to abstain. All right. Next set of minutes is from February 8th, 2024, and that was from the budget meeting, and everybody was present.
I have an update for that one.
All right, go ahead.
Page 2, right at the top, the section about a motion to strike all previous agreements. That would be myself who made the motion and Agajanian seconded.
Okay.
Right now it says that Michael did both.
So you made the initial motion?
Yes.
What did it say?
So, say it one more time,
Oh.
please.
Yep, it's top paragraph of the second page. It shows that Michael motioned to strike all previous agreements and then seconded it as well. I made the motion and Michael seconded it.
All right.
I have another correction as well.
Go ahead, Rob.
When we talk about the team chair, we had actually changed it to a .4 when we voted on it.
Okay. All right, capture that.
Sorry,
Meg?
Chris, in the
No,
first
go ahead.
paragraph, I think it's worthwhile noting that the changes in chapter 70 are the projected chapter 70 numbers, which you don't have final numbers, so it's probably worth just clarifying that. And then, although it would be quite amazing, in the second paragraph, our school department budget is not 3 million, so we should not say that. We might want to say the increase is around 3 million, but the 3 million. would
What
be
page are you
clear.
on, Megan?
So the first page, Kevin, of the February 8th minutes.
First page,
In the
okay.
first paragraph, if you could add projected chapter 70. And then the second paragraph, it says the school department budget is 3 million without any initiatives. I think it might need to say increase.
So you have all those edits?
I'm close.
All right.
Increased by 3 million.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, I've got it, I believe.
What we can do is we'll compile all of those, send them to Melissa, then we'll just revisit it next week would be the easiest way.
I think so.
Any other edits or corrections on that for the February 8th? Not seeing any. So then we'll move on to the February 8th regular session meeting.
I have another one for that. Small one. Page 1 on this, approval of minutes all the way down at the bottom. The section about the 200 million being adjusted on to 2 million, it's noting that it was fencing cost. That discussion was about a turf placeholder on the capital plan.
Correct. Good catch. All right. So we'll capture that edit, and again, we can just recapture that for our next meeting. Any other edits on that? Not seeing any. So again, since we have a meeting next week, we'll edit and then revisit. And then from there, we have the February 8th, 2024 executive session minutes. This is a vote to approve and not to release. Everybody was present for that. Edits there, let me know, let us know. Not seeing any edits, so then looking for a motion to approve those minutes. Motion by John, second by Robin, then all in favor, and that is unanimous. Excellent. All right, and the last one is from August 24th, 2023. These are the executive session minutes. This is again a vote to approve and not to release. Just a point, Brendan, you were not there. So any discussion? If there is any actually, yeah, and I should have said it for the other one. Any changes, notify me by email, and Kevin, and obviously we don't want to talk about it publicly, so notify me there. If there is no objections to that, then we'll vote vote to approve and not release. So,
Make the motion.
all right.
Comment.
You do, all right, so you do have an edit to make?
I think so, yes.
Okay, so we'll pass it over,
Okay.
we'll work
Sorry.
the edits, and then we'll go from there. All right, no problem. So, sorry. Pass over. All right. That takes care of that part of it. So second agenda item, moving on, will be our announcements, correspondence, and distributions. Anything from the committee side? Seeing anything? Administration?
Yeah, I've got one announcement, unless Craig, you have anything? All right. Quick announcement. We're in the process of hiring the new Woodland Elementary School principal. Tomorrow, our staff will be doing the first step of the process, which is screening the applicants. We're going to be seeking parent and guardian participation, as well as staff and school committee participation in both the interview process as well as the finalist forums, which will take place Monday, March 11th and Wednesday, March 13th. I'll be sending an email out tomorrow outlining these opportunities and the ability to express interest. So it's a very important hire. It's something that we're very excited about, and we love input and participation from our parents and guardians, as well as our staff, administrative team, and school committee. That's it.
All right, very good. Moving on then to invitation to speak. Not seeing anybody for invitation to speak. I do not have anything under the chairman update, so we will move on to our vaccine clinics. And have our director of nursing come join us. So welcome.
Hi, thank you. So I'm Rebecca Padula. I'm the Director of Nursing for Milford Public Schools. So we decided to take over the vaccine clinics that are state funded. The Board of Health originally was running it, but due to different circumstances, it wasn't going to work out anymore. So now the school has taken it over. So Kevin, Craig, Anna Cahill, and Melissa Freitas-Alves, the nurse at FRC, and myself all met with the state yesterday. We're pretty much ready to go. We have everything in place. We're just waiting on a couple little things like a cooler and stuff like that. But we should be up and running realistically by the end of March. So it'll just be used like it was before to help get our students into school on time so they're not waiting for appointments and stuff like that. So this should be pretty helpful for our community.
Great, thank you for that update. Any questions from the board members? Yes.
Could you just talk a little bit about how it works? Is it set up at standard times, or do you just kind of do it as needed? I'm just curious.
Yep, so we're actually still working that all
Okay.
out. It's most likely going to be just clinics that are set up. It'll depend on the need, whether it's weekly, monthly.
Got it.
But, you know, if something comes up and we have like an influx of students
Sure.
and they're waiting to get in by one vaccine, you know, if we have it, we hopefully can help get them in sooner so they're not waiting and missing.
Great. Could you also talk about maybe the inventory ordering cost side?
So it doesn't cost anything to us.
Mhm.
It's completely free. So the first month, we're gonna order on the lower end, which is
Mhm.
recommended by the state, so there's no
Sure.
waste. But if we needed more, we do have other facilities. Edward M. Kennedy is
Mhm.
partner with us, so they're our backup. So if there's extra, we'll give it to them. If they need it, it'll go back and forth. So
Okay.
so it should work out.
Excellent. And I'm
Good.
just assuming it's required immunizations that are needed to get into school. Are there also flu shots, COVID vaccines?
So the state, you have to have the COVID ones available, along with we're doing just the school required.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Megan, if I could just add
Yeah.
to that answer, we do partner with other entities to do like flu clinics, and we've done that historically,
Excellent.
both for our staff members and the community, and I
Mhm.
think we'll continue to do that in the future.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Is this just for students and families who are entering the district for the first time, or is it for currently enrolled students as well that might need a booster or just the COVID vaccine?
Yes, so it's actually for everyone in the district, 5 through 18. It's for if they don't have a primary care, so they can't get in to get a shot, then the vaccine, then they can come to us, one of our clinics, and we can set them up. Everything's through a program called Color, so it goes right to the Massachusetts immunization program. So if they do end up getting a doctor down the road, it'll all be in the system. So there's a trail, which will be good. So yeah, if they need a shot, like a booster or something like that, they can get. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Well, thanks again thanks for being here. Thanks for your patience. I know we've had to push you off the agenda a few times just for other business, and but appreciate your efforts. Hopefully everything's going well as for the director of nursing side, as you've only been with us for 6 months now, I'd say, right?
Yeah, no, I'm very happy with my decision. It's an excellent district, and it's fun meeting everyone and getting to know how everything's run, and
Great.
I'm having a great time.
Very good. Again, thank you for being here and presenting.
All right, thank you all very much.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right, then, moving on. We have a policy read. This is a, sorry, to that. This is a, the student discipline policy. Should be in your packets here. And then we also have what Craig just passed out. Is it kind of an update? Craig, I'll pass it over to you because you worked with Desi on this.
Yep, so this is part of our tiered focus monitoring corrective actions. We had to update components of our student discipline policy. The changes that are in your packet were made. We ran it by the attorney. We sent it to Desi. Last night, Desi got back to us and wanted some more changes. So what you have in your hand are the changes that we had to make based on the feedback from Desi last night. We met with them today, and we ran all these changes by them. However, we don't have their full approval yet. So we're doing this as a first read tonight so that hopefully we can get approval next week. They're supposed to turn this around to us probably tomorrow, we hope. And so we'll be able to bring it back to you as, yes, this is the final policy. We need to vote on it next week.
Thank you. Yeah, so guys, you can see what was in the packet with all the red was just showing that it's brand new. And again, the yellow that you see is additional verbiage that was added based on Desi. So give everybody a few minutes to, I guess, to look through those yellow highlighted, but pretty much as Craig had stated, you know, they're driven by Desi, so there's really not a lot that we'll be able to do to change that, and they're looking for that verbiage to be added. So again, we felt, even though the policy we just reviewed, those changes are being driven by Desi, so that's why we still brought it to the board for a vote for the first read.
So Chris, everything that's in red in our distribution is black here. The only
Correct.
changes are the highlights.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So was there policy before? Did we replace it in entirety? Is that why it's all red? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, everything
Yeah.
we had is gone, replaced by this.
Replaced by this.
Okay,
Yes.
and what's in the handbooks, Craig, then also gets replaced by this?
Correct, so what's gonna happen next is, once you vote on it here, we have to send something out to the family to say that we updated our policy, and then send the updated policy to all the families, probably via Blackboard or something.
So it's a consistent policy, literally pre-K to 12, in
Correct.
terms of how we hit, okay.
Correct, and you can see that with some of the language that they wanted us to change, is to make sure that it said pre-K to, I think in one case it's pre-K to 3, but in other cases it's
Got it,
pre-K to 12.
thank you.
Yep.
Michael?
I guess two thoughts. One, is this still considered the first reading, or is that be punted to next meeting, since it's brand new?
Still going to be considered a first read, because everything that was in your packet was for the first read. Just the additional parts are the yellow parts that are highlighted that are mandated by Desi. So therefore, again, you can question the yellow highlighted portions, but they need to happen.
Fair. Second question, Craig. What's restorative justice?
Restorative justice is a program where we try to bring the kids back together without sending them out. right? So you're meeting with the teacher and, basically you're, setting the record straight with the teacher and building a relationship back
Okay, thank you.
versus going out and having no contact with teacher, no setting it straight.
So again, this being a first read, we'll, actually, first read, no votes taken?
No
Yeah,
votes taken.
No votes taken on the first read. Hopefully, if we have all the information back from DESI by next week, we can vote on it as the second read and implement the policy. All right. Any other questions before moving on? Michael, do you have, oh, I wasn't sure, sorry, I thought you,
No,
I looked in your
can't see
direction
anything
as,
'cause I need glasses. I was like, so, no, sorry, I mean.
all right, no
sorry.
problem then, just wanna make sure.
I'm good.
All right, so, moving on from that, move on to the, school committee, meeting calendar. Everybody got that? Bring that up. Yeah, so we had Melissa take the school committee meetings off the last calendar and create a separate calendar with just the school committee meetings on there. Also to add a few, placeholders for budget meetings. So just, we can go through to vote that for approval. But first, we'll open it up for any discussion on that. Any questions on there? Not seeing anything right now. I'm just gonna raise point, I'm a little bit concerned with that first budget meeting, on January 4th, just because that's going to be a busy week with the New Year's Day being on that Wednesday, a regular session meeting on Thursday, and then the budget meeting on Saturday. I guess I know that that's what we've always done, but doesn't mean that we can't change it. So I'm just gonna suggest, in my opinion, that we move it to the 11th from the 4th. Just again, there's nothing going on that week, so it gives the full committee more runway time to look through that document, which tends to be a pretty significant amount of reading time frame. Matt?
No, I would just support that idea. I'm assuming, with New Year's Day being Wednesday, would we be going, I forgot what the last calendar said, are we going back to school that Thursday and Friday?
That's what it
Correct.
says.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would support moving it to the 11th just to give that a little extra time.
So we'd scratch the 8th, so that we wouldn't need that midweek.
Yeah.
One there. So just seeing what people thought on that. John?
Couple of things. I mean, this isn't as critical as the school calendar where we need to have such firm dates.
Mm-hmm.
I think a meeting on January 2nd is gonna be chaotic and probably not very productive. I'd rather go like 9th and 23rd instead of 2nd, 16th, and 23rd, but
Mhm.
I'm available, so it doesn't really make much difference, but I mean, that just seems like a really chaotic week with New Year's Day being in the middle of the
Mhm.
week on a Wednesday.
Aggressive.
I'd rather,
It's aggressive.
Yeah.
I'd rather
Yeah.
push that first Saturday to the 11th or even the 18th. We learned this year that even though it's been a good practice, it's been very productive
Mm-hmm.
the first Saturday in January for the last dozen or so years.
Mm-hmm.
We had some curveballs this year, so I don't know that it needs,
Mhm.
I don't know that either one of those need to happen, the 2nd or the 4th. I'd be in favor of pushing them out a week or so,
Mhm.
but, I'm available.
Right.
I don't have much going on in my life.
What,
That's sad commentary.
yeah.
I
So
know.
even going from 11
Sad
down
but
to
true.
18th. January 20th, it must be, which,
It's Martin Luther King Day,
Martin
so
Luther
I
King,
would just
okay, yeah.
recommend maybe not doing the 18th because it's the long weekend.
that's why I was gonna get to that, yeah.
Yeah.
If we're gonna have a budget meeting that month, we could go with one meeting too. We could go with a budget meeting and a regular meeting if you wanted to do that, and that might solve some of these scheduling conflicts, and just pick what Thursday's the best one and what Saturday's gonna work
Mhm.
out. And we're still meeting twice.
Mhm.
We're just having one regular meeting and one budget
Mhm.
meeting. That might be the middle ground.
I guess I just want to point out, if I can, I mean, obviously, this committee can set its own schedule, and the chair can schedule the meetings. It's just that first Saturday has been traditional, so if we're going to do a Saturday, let's pick one, so to speak, now, whether it's the 4th, the 11th, not the 18th on that long weekend.
Mhm.
It could even be the 25th, but I think we get so much work done on that Saturday.
Right.
And I know that, historically it's been because it's too much on a weeknight after everybody's worked, that we start fresh on a Saturday for 4 or 5 or 6 hours and go with it. But I think the 4th is too soon, but, obviously I'm obviously agreeable to whatever you guys want to do. I'm just pointing out these sort of obstacles.
Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up. Go ahead, Megan.
Recognizing I may or may not be in the seat in January 25, I do want to throw out some support for our new business role, and that they may need a little more time. So maybe we
Sure.
switch to the last Saturday, just to pick a
Yep.
date for January
Yeah.
2025, and then
I'm
use
fine
that as the target.
Very true. Yeah.
So the 25th.
Yes, exactly. Thanks, Robin.
25.
I see a lot of
Yep.
nods of
That's,
approval.
that's fine too.
All right.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And just, would we be
Good.
more likely to have projected Chapter 70 funding by then, or you don't think we would? Okay.
Their guests
I
won't be
think
ready.
you're
by then,
gonna
yeah.
see the similar numbers next year that you have this year.
Okay.
All right. So the consensus is the 25th, that Saturday, still for the Saturday meeting. So that's, all right, good there.
Chairman,
So, yes,
can I just ask a question of Kathy?
of course.
If that, being in the role you're in now,
Mhm.
if your meeting was pushed out to the 25th, would that,
I think the 25th works if you don't have difficult budget decisions. So I would recommend the 11th only because if the numbers come in to the point where you need to make difficult decisions, a couple extra weeks I think is gonna help you.
I guess my only counter to that was, it's February 29th, and it feels like we have a lot of difficult decisions yet to make. So if it's the end of January, it could be either way, but for
It could.
11th or 25th, either one of those
Yeah.
It could.
are fine
Mhm.
with me.
And maybe the new person would like a couple extra weeks to
Mhm.
build her staffing costs and projections.
Right. All right.
We do both, 11th and the 25th.
I know.
All right.
Too, but,
Nobody's going
Yeah.
skiing in January.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I only
John,
impacts
John
me.
will be here no matter what, so that's all right. So, let's, I'm just trying to think. I mean, certainly, so let's scratch the 8th. It goes away. And the projection is, do we want to scratch the 2nd right now, too? I think a lot of,
Yeah,
so do
Yeah.
we scratch it all together, or do we go to the 9th with that?
9.
I'll move it to the 9th.
Okay.
That'll be my,
So the 2nd goes down to the 9th. That one's easy. And then that next meeting right now for regular schedule is on the 23rd. No,
Yeah.
it's a budget meeting.
he
So
has them all as listed as budget.
Okay.
meetings.
yeah, on that one. So we'll do a 9th, and we do the 23rd for our regular meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 2 weeks in between there. And then right now, it's just whether or not we want to do the 11th or the 25th. I will, I guess, look around. I think everybody's, 25th looks, is everybody kind of nodding at the 25th over the 11th?
I'd actually suggest the 11th, but I don't have strong feelings either way. It's just,
Yeah.
we don't
Here's-
know what's coming down.
I mean, is it easier to go for a vote, guys? Do you want to do it that way? I don't want to
We can
go
always
by,
change it later.
change it, yeah.
So,
So,
I'm
all right.
not super-
So let's go with the 25th for now. I think that was more of the consensus there. We'll go with the 25th with the ability to move it up to the 11th. Then from there,
And then we're 9th and 23rd, right?
yeah, so 9th and 23rd for the regular meetings. And then after the 25th, typically we've needed a little bit more time to get through that last bit from the Saturday. Do we want to schedule the 30th to stay consistent on Thursday nights? Do you want to go the 30th as a fallback date? That way, at least it's on the schedule. If we need it, great. If we don't, we don't utilize it. But at least to have something scheduled. Because again, my thing was, I felt like we tried to throw dates, and a lot of people had some conflicts here and there. So I feel like if we are scheduling it early, people can maintain their schedules around it a little bit easier. So does that sound good? Yeah. So Thursday the 30th for everybody. All right. So we'll add that as another budget meeting, and then from there we'll get back into the regular stuff, I hope. from there. Any other questions there? And then the only other point was, we did get off the schedule a little bit in March because of February vacation. I know right now, like, we're seeing the back-to-back this month from February into March, so then we only have one meeting in April. So I wasn't sure, do we go back to the back-to-backs from February 27th to March 6th and March 20th for dates, and then it gives us the April 3rd and April 17th. That way we have the two and two.
That makes sense.
Or you could go back to back in April too.
You could go back in April too, yeah, on April 3rd, April 10th. So, all right, either way, I wasn't sure how
But
you
why
wanna
aren't
do
we
it.
on April 3rd and 17th? Why aren't we 1st and 3rd? I'm looking at the green slots.
I know, because if you look at February, because February vacation
Because it's a week.
kicked it, and that's what we're seeing like right now, right? We're the last week in February and then the first week in March. So we go back to back and last in February and March, which has been traditional. So again, just wanted to point that out to see if we wanted to go back to the first and third Thursdays. Other committee members have other obligations, so I wanted to make sure that we accommodated that for their time too. So,
I mean, I prefer the 1st and 3rd.
Yeah.
That's traditional.
Yep.
That's what's in our policy.
mhm.
And I do have some obligations on the 4th
Yeah.
Thursday of some months. Not that I can't work around those, but I looking at this, I'm looking at, I guess, probably closer now than I did before the meeting. I probably should have looked at it closer, but I don't know why we're not on the 1st and 3rd on most of these months. I get the vacation week pushing it to 1st and 4th in February, but why aren't we on March 6th and 20th and then April 3rd and 17th?
Yeah. Yep.
That's what I'd be in
Yeah.
favor of, but it's, again,
Alright.
I'm not
Yeah.
stuck on that.
So, does that sound like consensus also there? Okay.
That's fine.
All
I
right.
agree with that.
Sounds good. All right, so we'll update that to March 6th and 20th, scratch the 13th and 27th, and we'll go April 3rd and 17th. All right.
And then where do we land in January? Was it the 25th on the Saturday meeting?
Correct.
Yeah.
I just want to write that down.
Yeah, and the regular schedules will be the 9th and
I
the
got
23rd.
those, yeah.
So those will be the second and fourth, but based on the holiday again.
Yeah, of
That
course.
makes it a
yeah,
little
with the
bit
vacation
difficult.
weeks, We
Yeah.
understand, I
Alright.
understand.
And Chris, you're gonna be able to get all that to Melissa.
Of course.
All right, perfect.
She can read all this.
She's tuning in,
Yeah.
isn't she?
So, what's that?
She's tuning in, right?
Yeah, exactly, right, yeah.
Why wouldn't you be?
She's running
Nothing else to
away.
do.
It's the
Yeah.
6th, March 6th, 20th, April 3rd, 17th.
Yes.
Everything else is the
Correct.
same.
You got it too? Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect, no problem. All right. Any other questions or comments, calendar-wise? So what I'll do is, I'll have Melissa make these revisions, we'll bring it to the next meeting for approval and go from there. All right, sounds good, excellent. Moving on to the Springtown meeting warrant articles. So we've got a couple warrant articles. Mike, is it easiest to pass over to you to explain where we're at and where we're going?
Sure. We need to vote on the feasibility study authorization tonight. And I think Chris had Mark discuss the makeup of the school building committee, which we talked about last meeting. So we want to start first, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, and I thought we'd already done the feasibility, but I don't think it was in this exact format, so we can go through with that again. We'll go with the feasibility study, which I believe should be this first one. We'll check on that. Right? Yeah, this is the first one, the feasibility study. Pretty well, relatively self-explanatory. I believe the language came from
Yeah, the language
from
is a
both
mix.
DESI and, or excuse me, not DESI,
MSBA.
MSBA.
Yeah,
and
so
Jerry. Yeah.
the feasibility study, Kevin and I tag teamed this a bit, pretty much is dictated by the MSBCA. So Jerry took that and put his article together. So it's very similar to the Woodland article. So it's pretty standard in boilerplate.
Any questions on that first one for the feasibility side of it? Again, this would be the monies for the feasibility side, the exact amount to be determined, although we are honing in on that based on some other school districts that have recently gone through this. So we'll make sure that we have enough funding there to proceed through.
So looking at other feasibility studies, which Kevin showed us last meeting, it looks like it's gonna be close to like 2 million. So my gut is request 2.5 just to make sure that we have enough, wiggle room. Salem did one in 2022 for a school, what was it, like 1,500, I think it was.
Very, very similar.
Yeah, it was very similar, 7 through 12, and their feasibility study was $2 million in 2022. So it's obviously 3 years later, so you figure could be a bit higher. Go ahead.
Yeah,
So
Salem
I-
was either 1,000 or 1,500 students for 2 million.
Okay, yeah.
So I know that we're not gonna vote on the amount, the dollar amount tonight, but and I could have and should have done this. When do you think we'll, projecting the math, I know we got the 270 days and it starts on August 31st, but when do you think we'll be putting this out to bid and awarding the bid for the feasibility study? Because my fear is that we're a year and a half away, that if we don't appropriate enough, that's worse than not doing it right now. And I know I said that, I articulated that at the last meeting, and I think Matt might have some
So
I do.
insight.
Go ahead.
there's a
Sorry, Chris.
there's a
but
chart.
No,
of
no,
things.
it's,
I saw that.
it's a good point,
It's-
no,
it's-
that you're making too.
It's
yeah.
interesting, Woodland, and I haven't talked to Jerry, I think you did. So when Woodland did it, they didn't put an amount in the feasibility study for the warrant article. And I think it's for this reason. But
How does town meeting vote on
Keep
that? I don't have the answer.
The motion has to have an amount,
it didn't.
from
for
what I
Woodland.
heard, but, yeah,
Yeah,
so,
it didn't for Woodland.
Yeah.
They delegated the authority to the school, the building committee, but
okay.
I think we should have an amount.
Yeah.
So that's why my gut was
Yeah.
like up to a certain amount.
So, okay.
I'm just afraid of whatever, if we're a dollar less than it comes in at, this is all for naught. So I wanna make sure that we can appropriate, and I'm gonna be sarcastic here for anybody on TV or whatever else. We can appropriate 10 million, we're gonna award it on whatever the bid comes in at.
Right.
And I don't want, otherwise we lose our whole new school, right?
Correct.
Or we lose 5 years
Years.
out of the process. I am being sarcastic, but I'm not. I'm being cautious or optimistically cautious. I don't know what I'm being, but
Yes, I think
being aware.
we do a bit more research and then we ask for more than we think we need and say up to.
Yeah.
So we have that. I think the intent to get this approved now is to let the MSBCA know that, hey, we're serious and we have the funds available and we move the process through, right? We don't want to screw it up.
And tonight's vote
Yeah.
doesn't require a dollar amount. I'm well
Correct.
aware of that. I just want
Yeah.
to,
Yeah,
as we look forward, I don't want to screw this up.
yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was just gonna add,
Yeah.
well, so there's two parts, okay? The feasibility study and schematic design have to go to the MSBA Board of Directors for a vote. That is not allowed to happen before July 1st of 2026, according to the documentation.
Say that again, Matt? What-
So the feasibility
No,
study.
just the date.
The July 1st of 2026. Now, we get all of our stuff done in 270 days. That's March of 2025, right? We're probably not going to be in front of the MSBA again, potentially until the fall of 2025 to get all of the eligibility period stuff voted on, right? Because they said generally you don't get voted on early.
Mhm.
So chances are we're not starting a feasibility of any sort until probably pretty close to 2026. So to your point, we're still multiple years away from that, so we probably should try to figure out what that padding could look like from 2022 all the way to potentially 2026 to start paying for something like this. So
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
a bigger gap.
When we did Woodland, we also, they did it early, right? They voted in the feasibility study and the building committee, I think it was May as well too. So we're following a similar pattern. So,
Anything to add on that, Craig, just from your
I just-
experience with it?
I remember a feasibility study being $1 million. I
Right.
don't remember where that was attached to, but I remember somehow there was a vote for
Mhm.
a feasibility study to be done for $1 million at Woodland.
Right.
I just don't remember
Process.
where it was
yeah.
done.
All right. Well, we'll keep a track of the timelines. Obviously, Matt's got that. John has voiced the reasons why. But certainly, I think proceeding, I guess we'll still look, do we want to proceed? This board still wants to proceed, right? To include this on
Yeah.
the 2024 Springtown warrant. So that's the key to it. So, all right.
Do we need to decide like super soon though?
Yeah, exactly. Like I
tonight?
said, I thought we already voted that we were putting this on, but we can re-vote it anyways
did.
to make sure,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I wanna make sure we're okay.
right? Correct?
What's that?
We voted without the language?
We voted without the language, right, so this is just where we can vote this language in, from tonight and go from there, so.
We should be a little careful not getting too specific, because if the lawyers, Brian and Jerry might need to
Yeah.
tweak it, so we don't wanna get super, because they're gonna go
Right.
through back through that MSBAC
Yeah.
wording, make sure
Right.
it's compliant, because the MSBCA is very specific, it has to match
Yeah.
exactly the way they write it,
Yeah.
so we don't wanna lock them
Yeah,
into
so-
very specific
Right,
writing.
yeah, so I should correct that. We already did vote to have it included. There's really no need to vote on it tonight for this first one. It just shows the verbiage that will be utilized, so
So,
I
but
will correct myself on that.
I do think we should talk about, do we include it on this warrant or not?
We already voted for it.
Okay, great,
Yeah,
okay,
we voted last meeting, yeah, that we, to include it on the warrant. So, we should be good there. We did not include the second one.
I am, because I think if it turns out that whatever number we put on this warrant isn't
Yeah.
enough, we'll still have October to adjust before we have to
Yeah.
spend anything
Yeah.
anyway, so.
So, right. And everybody's under that understanding that I just explained that we voted for it, right? That was my understanding. I just want to make sure everybody else
Yeah.
took it. If not,
absolutely.
we can always revote it if there's any skepticism there.
Nope,
But
and,
like I said, I thought we were good
That's
there.
how I remember it.
Yeah, okay, good. All right. Phase 2 of it will be the building committee itself. Mike's done a lot of extensive work in that department,
So
along with Kevin.
the only change we
Here we
made
are.
from the draft that I showed last time was adding one more, we had 14 members last time, which is an even number. We wanted 15. In talking to Jerry and, the town, figure out who we should add, the recommendation was like, hey, let's have the moderator appoint one person from town meeting. So we added that in there, but you'll see that we added in there. The intent, I think, this round is not just to add 3 people. It's, everybody has a purpose. And so you'll see in here, the school committee and the town moderator will be able to appoint somebody who has project management experience, construction experience, or engineer experience, right? So it's like a job, it's like a mini job description, right? So we're gonna add, town moderator will appoint one person who has experience in one of those 3 areas.
And isn't there already a person on the committee with that type of description?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not opposed to having a second one by
Yeah.
any means.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm
so
just asking.
the school committee will appoint somebody, but, so again, the intent was like, having somebody who has project management experience and then somebody who might have construction experience,
Mhm.
right? So I figured, hey, it'd be good to give town meetings somebody to have a voice.
Does that person have to be a town meeting member? Is that what you were just saying, or is
No,
just
the
a town-
moderator just has to
Just a
appoint somebody.
moderator appoints it?
Megan?
Is the goal, Michael, to have up to 15 or to have 15?
It's up to.
Okay, I think we should say that, because it says 15. I just think it'd be worth noting up to, just so we're not
Okay.
trapped. And then,
I
my
thought we
math
put
could
that
be
in
wrong,
there.
but I think I count 14 on here.
Thought I did too.
Okay.
Well, that's the wrong, yeah.
Okay, my eyes are
We'll
going,
check that
so,
out.
okay. I just
Yeah,
wanted
it's
to make
it's hard to read.
Okay, so I would add the up to
Yeah.
and then add the additional role that you were
Oh,
intended to
15 members.
include.
No, it's there. So
Well,
15.
The 15 is there, but I think it should say up to,
Okay.
and then I think you only list 14 here
Yeah,
on
actually,
this version.
so when Jerry wrote the school committee and the town moderator, he shoved into one sentence. So
Got it.
it's hard to read. I can't actually proofread this one.
So I see the member to be appointed by the school committee, I see a resident to be appointed by the moderator,
Yep.
but I still only get to 14.
Do you?
Same
Yeah,
number?
I got the same number.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
I did it twice.
My
It's
mo-
very small,
My
so-
money's on Megan, no offense.
Yeah, no, that's
She has her
fine.
glasses on,
Yeah.
so that's the difference.
So maybe we
Yeah.
revisit this for the next meeting next
Perfect.
week, and then we're ready to go.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great, thanks for all the
yeah.
work on it, I don't.
Does it,
Hold on, let me just.
It is a lot of work. I agree,
Mhm.
Michael, thank you.
Been a lot of back
does it
and
need
forth.
to be on the town administrator's
hold on.
desk though before
No.
next meeting?
He said, we heard something about March 3rd.
So
March
that's
4th.
why, yeah.
So-
So
Okay.
we can vote to include it.
Yeah.
Again,
I think as
uh,
long as
the-
we,
the-
as
the
long as we make a
wording-
placeholder on the
Correct.
warrant,
Yeah.
the
wording
wording
can
is,
change. Yeah.
is immaterial at this point.
100%, yeah, because like I said, planning board, we did the same, we pushed a couple, but we're still fine tuning wording,
Perfect.
so, yeah.
Let's do that
So I
then.
know that, so.
Perfect.
Any other questions on that? We can always revisit it as far as the wording wise, but again.
It's similar to putting in the number in the previous article we were talking about.
Correct.
We're gonna vote to move forward this article for the warrant, and we'll fine tune
Yeah,
the
exactly.
wording.
So- All right, so looking for a motion to include the makeup of the school building committee on the Springtown warrant. Motion by Brendan, second by Matt, then all in favor, and that is unanimous. Great. Thank you very much, everybody, on that one.
This is exciting.
As long as it's written in big enough text, you can read it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. All right, so we have a update on the task and timeline for MSBA. Dr.
All right.
Magnan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'll have a full timeline for you next week, but I do want to provide an update and a packet of information. I think it's good information for you just to have. I expect the majority of the deliverables for the eligibility period to be completed by August of 2024, which is either right when the eligibility period begins or during that first month when the eligibility period begins. Principal Outland has formed a team to address both the educational profile questionnaire and the Chapter 74 vocational technical education viability documentation. And they will be meeting on March 12th and 26th, April 10th and 30th, and May 16th. All meetings will take place after school at 2:30. And again, this group will be addressing the questions and documentation required by the MSBA. We cannot engage with the maintenance and capital planning and application or the enrollment projection application until the eligibility period commences on August 1st. But I was able to gain read-only access and will review the required materials and work next week. So I got that access today. We're in a unique situation because they staggered the eligibility periods. We actually have a fair amount of runway to actually get things done, and they typically don't allow school districts into the program or the forms until the eligibility period begins, but they did allow us to have read-only access, which will give me a better sense of what's required in those two particular sections. I'm going to just review the packet that I provided with you quickly, which includes a great deal of information. The first page is the timeline and deliverables for the eligibility period, and again, the majority of our work will be completed before the eligibility period even begins. And that's the Milford specific timeline. The next two pages are an overview of Module 1, and this is just a good reference. I'm going to send this out to everybody as a PDF too, so you just have it, because I think these are all good reference sheets for the next, it's 270 plus the days until August 1st. Hold on 1 second, let me just scroll down. This is followed by a copy of the exact language required by the MSBA for the feasibility study that Michael was just referring to for the warrant article. The next document is recent comparables for feasibility studies of similar projects, just good for you to have. And we talked about that at the last meeting as well. The next following section is the information that we were required to provide for the educational profiling questionnaire. And I think it's just good for you to notice, to see the types of things that we're required to respond to, and the committee that Principal Outland put together is wrestling with, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. And again, I'll follow up with more details next week as well.
Any questions on the timelines and deliverables at this point? Not seeing any, but obviously appreciate the updates. As Mike stated, it's exciting times, so. We'll wait a few more minutes to have a quick look at it before. Good? You good? All right. Good. All right. Next agenda item was the audit update. I'm going to pass over this agenda item as we are just not ready to talk about this yet. Next one is the spending policy discussion. That is also going to be passed over tonight. Simply just don't have the framework together yet. So.
Chris, I can speak just a little bit to it.
No problem.
So, as I spoke to everybody here over the past couple of meetings or whatever, this spending policy, and that's a bad terminology, and Megan pointed it out last week, and I agree, last meeting, and I agree, and I did agree. This came about a year ago where, this committee is in charge of approving all the spending, and there's been a number of contracts, and the number of contracts has grown so much over the past few years that I think we need to get a handle on it. And the reason it's grown, at least my task, or if I'm going to try and frame something, I've worked closely with Jerry, former town council, current labor council, on what's the best ideas, what's the best practice, and it just seems that there's way too many contract positions throughout the district, and there's no good reason for them. So, what I'd like to do is rephrase this into, kind of cloning the town's terminology. It's not a spending policy anymore. It might be a non-union wage and administration plan or something similar that I think we need to develop, and we need to define which positions are clearly non-union in contract, and then classify the rest of the positions with the understanding that this committee has full authority to give anybody a contract, or empower the superintendent to give any of these individual positions a contract. But it's growing in terms of scope, and I want to do it right. I don't want to do it quickly, and I don't think we need any, to have any serious discussion tonight. But in light of the, the projected state aid, which is severely diminished, we might want to revisit this. I mean, I'm going to be working on this. I have been working on it. I just don't have any real, true deliverable for tonight. But we might want to give some guidance to our superintendent on what to do going forward in this budget cycle for both the contract positions that aren't union and already agreed to in a bargaining agreement, and others. I don't know where we're gonna land on that, but I think we need to have that discussion within the next month, right? As we're into late February now, and town meetings in early May. But that's where I'm at. I apologize, there's no deliverables, but that's where my mindset is, and I guess it's just an update at this point.
Any questions, comments, anything directed to John? All right, not seeing any. Very good. Thank you, John. Appreciate the update. Then moving on then to our report from our Assistant Superintendent for Business and Human Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have for the committee's approval this evening 6 warrants in the amount of $1,089,557.16.
Motion to approve the warrant. Motion by Megan, second by John. All in favor? And that is unanimous.
I've also provided a brief form of my 24 budget update. There was an update on the accounting software, and I lost all of my reports that I've had for the last 15 years. I have to recreate them all, and somehow I wasn't able to make that happen for this meeting.
Okay.
So you will have it next meeting.
All right, thank you for that update.
I also did review the budget and would like to recommend that we reconcile 2 areas, one being the long-term subs and the deficit that we have from central office salaries, which was essentially one employee that left the district, and we had to do her buyout as well as provide overtime and training for the replacement individual. So if I can find in my packet, because that's the other piece I've had, my computer died today. I am requesting in the amount of $344,000 of budget transfers, one from the instructional teaching account over to the long-term subs that we have that's mandated by DESC to track now, as well as the business and finance cost of $34,000, which again, we have other deficits. I am keeping an eye on those, and I'm hoping that in the spring I will make some recommendations to bring those into a better financial situation as well.
Mm-hmm. Any questions on this transfer? Go ahead, Megan.
So Kathy, is it right just to think about the sort of instruction versus the long-term scrub as just an offset in terms of we had people out and so we're not paying this and now we're paying that?
Correct.
Okay, thanks. That's helpful.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. So looking for a motion to make this transfer. Motion by Robin, second by Megan, and then all in favor, and that is unanimous. Great.
The committee also has a update of our latest appointments and hires. It is for your review only. We do have a new grant in our packet that was written and approved by Nancy Angelini, who was acquired, and I believe this is the McKinney-Vento homeless grant in the amount of to offset some of the costs to the district and provide better service for our students.
Thank you for that update. So looking for a motion to accept that grant. Motion by Michael, second by Brendan. All in favor? That is unanimous. Excellent. Any questions on that grant, by the way? Sorry.
There's a second
Yes.
grant in there.
Pardon?
There's just a second grant. Are we
That's why I
gonna?
wasn't sure too.
Oh, there was a second
Yeah,
one?
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
It's the
Thank you,
math
Robin.
Yeah. I was just about to say, thank you for taking care of that.
Okay, that's right. We have the math acceleration grant, that was also approved. Do we have the amount of money? We do. It is $42,272, and I believe that's an extension of a grant that we've already received, so it's an additional award.
All right. So looking for a motion to accept that grant. Motion by Megan, second by Matt. All in favor?
I'm abstaining from this one.
Okay, so that'll be, in favor, so 6 in favor and then 1 abstention.
And we also have gifts, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you. The updates. All right. We have multiple gifts, so thank you to our donors. Our first gift is from Heaney and Small, and the gift is AirPods, a value of $100, and the purpose of this gift will be for the Math Acceleration Academy and is a prize for them. So we appreciate that from Heaney and Small. The next one is from Lobiser Building Corporation, and this will be for the Math Acceleration Academy. This is also for the purchase of some AirPods in the amount of $100. Thank you to the Lobiser Building Company. Next one is from Pins Bowling Alley, in-kind gift, and this is for a bowling party at a value of $200. And the purpose will be for the Math Acceleration Academy. Next one is from Acai Central. This gift is, let's see, I'm assuming for a monetary gift in kind for $95, and again for the Math Acceleration Academy.
I'm gonna participate in the Math Acceleration
I
Academy.
know, I can see why.
Next one is from the Hawk's Nest. They are donating 2 sweatshirts, a value of $50, again for the Math Acceleration Academy, so another great prize for them. Next one is from Dairy Queen, prize value of $20 for the Math Acceleration Academy, so thank you to Dairy Queen. And then the next one is from Alliance Energy, the Exxon Mobil, and this is for the MHS Math and Science in the amount of $500. So thank you to Alliance Energy, we greatly appreciate that. The next one is from the J. Lim Foundation, and this is for the purposes from Math and Science prizes in the amount of $4,000. So thank you to the J. Lim Foundation, really appreciate it. So those are all of our donors tonight. We greatly appreciate it. Obviously, the Math Acceleration Academy has some great prizes. The Math and Sciences also have some nice donations to work with to bolster their programs too. So we appreciate that. So looking for a motion to accept all these very kind gifts. Motion by Michael, second by Megan. All in favor? And that's going to be 6 in favor and 1 abstention. No problem. Excellent. Very good. Moving on then to subcommittee updates. You want to handle the policy?
Sure. So the policy subcommittee met tonight, and we talked about the school discipline policy that you saw tonight for the first read, and we also met with the director of nursing to talk about the medical awareness policy. And so that policy still has some additional edits that will be made to it, but then I'm sure it'll be coming through for a first read in no time at all.
Great. Thank you for that update. Any other subcommittees? Go ahead.
2 days ago, facilities long-range planning met. So I got a couple things I'll go over very quickly. All exit signs at MHS are fixed, with the exception of one that a basketball took out in the gym recently. So if you see that one, it's underway.
Thank you.
The bridge going from the back of the high school to the field, Chris and I checked it out. The damage that water did is incredible. That's a collaboration between the schools and the town to try to get that resolved. They're hoping to get it resolved sometime around spring sports. There's no guarantee because that's only a couple weeks away, but the goal is to get that fixed as soon as possible. My notes are a little shaky on this one. Help me out with this. And the boilers 1 and 3 are both up and running. We're running on one with the other one sitting there ready for backup.
Actually, they're both running, but if one goes down, the other one will serve as a backup.
That's what it is. Okay. And then we talked about the Brookside punch list again. There's some things have been worked on, some things are still open. The subcommittee did make it clear that we need this punch list to be formalized so that we have something on the town side to support all of the numerous communication attempts out to the vendor and just make sure we have documentation so that if they try to give us any sort of late payment fine, that we have something to push back on. So that's in process, and I believe Carlos is working on that and expected to get you something early next week, hopefully. So. And then lastly, we did get a ticket report, which was nice. Just a couple things. I know we talked about what we're resolving in-house versus external. They did have 238 tickets that came in January. 80% were closed and 70% of them were handled internally. So Carlos did note a lot of the times too with some of the bigger issues like the heating in Brookside. He does bring a contractor in to support and also double check some of that major work to ensure that what they did to get it working is the right solution long term. So they noted, he noted, 10 to 15% about from January needed a contractor assistance. So that was all good news, and they are continuing to roll along, and they are getting into some maintenance stuff, which is nice. He did note that they're starting to proactively approach some of these systems. So it seems like that we're in a good position so far. Did I miss anything?
Go ahead.
Just a question.
Of course.
So you shared, Matt, how many tickets were opened in January?
Yes.
I'd be curious, do you know the total number that are open?
Total that are open currently?
Yeah, like is there still a ton of backlog?
No,
Okay.
I believe they cleared out the majority of the backlog. I'm
Okay.
sure there's stuff over time because he said they covered 80% of
So
238.
there's probably
Right.
like 30-ish, 30 to 40 that are open right now from January.
There's a handful like the Brookside heater that's still technically not closed because
Sure.
they're waiting for a custom piece to show up, and there was a backlog in the
Makes
production of that piece.
Okay.
But,
I just didn't know if there were like 1,200.
No,
I'm just
no.
curious, like, kind of how that works. Okay, that's helpful. Thanks.
Yep.
Excellent. Any other questions on facility subcommittee? All right, thank you for that report. Kevin, do you have a report on, or anything to update the health and wellness? I forget the new committee name. I know I wasn't there, and I don't think.
I missed the last one.
Yeah, same with us. Yeah.
No, sure, no.
Anything there? We'll get it next week.
Yeah, you know, I can,
We'll get it next
I don't
week.
have the notes with me,
No
but
worries.
I can
Yep.
definitely provide that.
That's all right. Very good. Anything else on subcommittees? Yes.
Just very briefly, the sick bank met.
Perfect. All right.
Maybe I'll
Moving
go
on.
with that for my report.
Yeah. Moving on to future agenda items. Anybody, anything on the future agenda item side of it? I'm not seeing anything. All right. I know that next Thursday we'll start with our budget at 6 and move into regular session. So sounds good. All right. We will move on to adjournment then. At this time, we will be ending the open session of our meeting and enter into executive session where we will discuss the school business administrator resume reviews. So we will not be returning to open session. It does require a roll call vote. Start over with Brendan.
Yes.
All right, Robin,
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Matt.
Yes.
All right, and I am also a yes. So good night, everybody, and see you next week.